You're tuned into the Growth Ceilings podcast, the show for builders, dreamers, and leaders ready to break limits and grow beyond what they thought possible.
Welcome to the Growth Ceilings podcast. I'm your host, Jim Lovelady, professional EOS implementer. EOS is the Entrepreneurial Operating System. This show is about real conversations with leaders who bring clarity to complex challenges and help organizations operate with confidence. Today, I'm joined by Yolanda Stevenson. Yolanda is the founder and CEO of Taxi Mom and Taxi Mom Franchising. She built her business from the ground up starting back in 2004 and has successfully franchised the model years later. Along the way, she has navigated growth, systems, people, and technology, and the realities of scaling a business while staying grounded in community impact and leadership. Yolanda, I'm glad to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Jim. I'm excited to be a part of this.
And a thrill to reconnect with you. You and I met a couple
I
years
know.
back at a franchising
Yes.
conference up in Minneapolis, I believe, right?
Minneapolis. Yes.
Great. You started Taxi Mom from scratch back in 2004. Take us back to those early days. What problem were you trying to solve and what gave you the confidence to move forward?
So back then, I was working in corporate and was having to travel back and forth. And my son was going to middle school. And so he had to cross a very busy intersection. And my husband was working, and we could not find anybody to help us with him because I was traveling so much. So we had to buy him a phone and a bike, and we had to just trust the process that he was going to be fine, you know, crossing that busy intersection to get to school. School was less than a mile away. But when I started doing my homework, I quickly found out that when you live within a 2-mile radius of the schools here in Texas, you get no bus transportation. So I started doing my due diligence, went to SCORE, started thinking about this, and really felt good about being able to provide a service like this. So I just bought a couple of magnetics, bought a couple of yard signs from Bandit Signs, and they were those real estate signs. I bought 4 of those, and I planted them in areas that I wanted to service because at the time, it was all about being a part of the family. You know, my kids were growing up, so I wanted to be able to pick up my children at the same time picking up other people's children and dropping them off at home. So that's how it was founded and developed.
Fantastic story. And we're going to get a little deeper into this. So many founders grow a business, but far fewer successfully franchise one. What told you that your model was ready to scale beyond a single operation?
Well, when I very first started, I was so excited about this because number one, nobody had it, not in our area. And number two, I was like, I'm going to franchise this thing, not knowing what franchising was all about. So as I've gotten into the franchise space, I've really learned a lot, but it really became more clear for me, I think, was because the phones consistently ring and people are consistently looking for someone like us.
Who
So
is your target customer, by the way?
usually they're either single parents or double income families that live within a 2-mile radius of the school. But also we have an open district. So when you live in an open district, meaning that parents can choose what school they want their child going to, those parents reach out to us. And some of those parents can be up to 8 miles from their school because there is no bus transportation. Plus, you have your charter schools and then you have your private schools that don't have bus transportation for the families. So we have a pretty large audience of people that we can service. And it's been very interesting because we have parents that use it because they need it, but we also have parents that use it out of convenience. So the demographics are very different.
Yeah, and I'll bet when parents do discover your service, I'll bet they're both relieved and thrilled at the same time.
Yes, yes. Actually, yesterday I had a full circle moment. So I hadn't thought about when I first founded the company back in 2004. And the PTA president reached out to me to do a sponsorship for a school for a luncheon, a holiday luncheon for the teachers. And it was for 100 teachers. Well, the school was Apollo. And that was the school that my son was going to when I needed the service. And so when I got there, they have to scan you in, make sure you're good to come into the school, number one. But I wanted to show up because I have a brand ambassador that ran that whole she ran the whole thing for me, which was amazing because she put a Christmas tree out. She says, this thing has to drip in Taxi Mom. And what was so interesting is that 21 years later, hardly any of those people at the school knew who we were. And it was like, oh my gosh. So the principal gave me the opportunity to stand up and say something. And just sitting there and just thinking about when my son was having to cross the school, he went to that school, and here I am providing lunch for all of these teachers. So it felt like a really good full circle moment.
Outstanding. So, as your business expanded, what were the biggest operational challenges you had to solve to maintain quality and consistency across all the locations you were operating in?
Wow. I think it's owner, the owner. I've really learned a lot about selecting the right prospect. That has been one of the biggest learning points for me because we've steadily been able to award franchises. But then now that renewal came back, because, our renewals are 5 years, and looking at that owner, do I want that owner? Because you get to see the business actually evolve and take off. But then the vision starts to kind of change a little bit because of the operation. The model starts to change a little bit because of because you're getting more feedback from these franchise owners. But then you're also looking at how much time they're wanting to put and how much I feel like I've really like made it really, really easy for them. That dependency is really a strain on me because I want to support, but I over support. So that's definitely been a learning.
You got to manage that time and protect yourself and protect your sanity, I assume.
Yes. Yes.
So what's
So what I've done, not to interrupt you, but I've cleaned house. We now have we awarded 19 total,
yes?
and we are operating a total of 12 right now. So that goes to show
Which
you
is
that I've been really working hard.
right. And would you agree that taking a step back is really a step forward because you've gotten clarity and you understand what you desire in a franchise owner? You've redefined what's important, the attributes of that franchise owner. You now have a sense of what's going to be successful, what's not. Help me understand what you've learned in that regard. So if I was someone knocking on your door as a potential, I'm interested in a franchise, what are you looking for? What attributes are you looking for in that potential franchise owner?
Definitely have to be business minded oriented, like really understand business. And then, of course, the financial literacy piece. Because more and more people are leaving their jobs, they don't really have that fundamental understanding of you are the business owner. Even though you're a franchisee, you are expected to do the work. And that has been one of the biggest eye opening experiences for me, just because I want to give people opportunity. And by giving them that opportunity, it's really taken a toll on me mentally because they're not there. And so what I've done is I've hired business business coaches that coach me to be a part of the team where they're having to pay a fee for that business coaching because they really need to understand the fundamentals of business, how to be profitable, what are your numbers, that type of stuff.
Is there anything you've changed in particular so that when you are reviewing applicants or reviewing potential franchise owners, where you inform them that this is a hands-on business, this is not a, you know, I'm the franchise owner, I can step back and just wait for the money to come in. They've actually got to operate the business.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So we have implemented a 1 year operator, like you have to be in the business
Right.
for 1 year.
I see.
We've also, what I look at is, I ask them the question, how do you feel about owning a fleet of 12? That really is like one of the defining questions that I ask, is because, are they going to be ready to scale? Yes, you can start with one, but how fast do you want to grow? How fast do you want to be profitable? That type of stuff is the type of things that I'm asking. But then I'm also looking at the process when it comes to the application. So just recently, we received an application from Florida. Super excited. My husband thought she was a good fit, sends her the application. It comes in incomplete. She fills out partially, and I'm like, do I really want this kind of person that is only going to do a partial completion on an application?
Red flag.
Yes. But at the beginning, I would have probably handheld her. I would have called her. I would have walked her through it. And, that at the beginning, I would have done that. But now I'm in this processes place right now where it's like, no, that's not going to be a good fit.
So you went from a mom and starting a business for your personal need to take care of your son to now you are the savvy franchise owner, franchisor, and you've got a whole bunch of knowledge now built up over the years you've been doing this. And it's fascinating to listen to you speak. I applaud you for everything you've done. Learning how to say no, I got to believe, is probably a big thing to learn, and you've obviously accomplished that. So I applaud you for that. It's probably tough, but at the same time, you're protecting your business model, and you're finding the right people as a result.
Yes. Thank you. I think it's just important for any franchisor coming in to
Yes.
really understand that I know how fast we want to sell. And then, when you're in it and you really like, sometimes you feel like you're in a hurry. Like, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, especially coming out of IFA. You come out of IFA meeting, you're ready and you're set. You're ready to put the world on fire with your brand. But then you really have to step back and you really have to like go to me, I feel like I've got to go at my own pace. I don't feel anymore like I have to be in a rush to meet all these things because that's just the way it feels sometimes when I'm coming out of these meetings.
So you've spent a lot of time building systems, including IT infrastructure and processes. Where do leaders most underestimate the role of systems in growth?
Not thinking about the future. When you put things in place, you have to really think about the future. So you have to think about like payments. And then one of the things that we're actually looking at, I'll say, I was a little hesitant about it, is centralizing. I'm seriously thinking about centralizing everything. I have the platform to already do that. So it wouldn't be hard for me to centralize it.
And
So I think
what advantage would you get from centralizing everything? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I think we wouldn't have to chase the money, number one. When it comes to ACH, doing the withdrawals for the royalties and what have you, I think it would keep everything in line for us, being that we are an emerging brand. I think it's really important for us to be able to control that piece of it moving forward, because I think it's going to be really helpful to really scale it out.
So looking back, what decisions or changes had the biggest impact on your ability to step out of the day-to-day operations and into the true leadership role that you're performing today?
Really? You're going to ask me that question? Do you really step out of the day to day?
Well, you
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 know,
tell me.
it's a hard balance, to be honest with you. It really is. I think it's really important to hire the right people, and I have been super blessed. And quite honestly, I haven't really been able to step out of the day to day until recently. I would say within the last 6 months, and it's because hiring someone to do my territory, handling my territory. That was really, really hard. And now I have a group of gals that are VAs, they're from the Philippines, and they're running the entire operation. So it wasn't hard for me to leave yesterday to go and attend this PTA meeting, and be there to celebrate with them. That wasn't hard at all. And just hearing them in my meeting today, they said that there was a day they were looking for me and that I was just real quiet all day long. And I had told them that I had been out shopping. They said they want more days like that. So I think it's more recent for me, but I think that when it comes to day, it's just going to be dependent on the trust that you're putting in people and having those right people in place. And I've made a
I
lot
mentioned,
of mistakes of not having the right people in place.
yes, absolutely. And just listening to you speak today, and we opened up the conversation where I acknowledged you and I had met a couple years ago. I can already sense the changes in you through the experience. You definitely speak as a leader. Just listening to you articulate the journey you've been on, and from when I first met you and your sister,
Yes.
we had a lot of fun together. But you now sound even more polished than ever, more determined than ever, very focused as a result. I'm listening to you speak, and I'm picking up on where you've now been able to kind of let go of the vine. You've been able to delegate. You've been able to give responsibilities to others where it frees up your time to focus more on the true business operations from a franchisor perspective. Would you agree?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. And it's so refreshing to be able to be in that seat for sure
And
for
so
me
you
because I think as a franchisor, when you don't know what you're getting yourself into, it's a totally different model. So that's the one thing that I've learned is that my business, the business model is different than the franchise model. And having to separate those two, I think, that when that light bulb went off, it's like, okay, now I'm getting it. So yeah, for sure.
I just I just admire the journey from, moment I met you and you told me your story and just everything you've learned in these years that have gone past, what you've gained as a true entrepreneur, business leader. You are fascinating, and the experience you've gained from this, I got to believe, blows your mind because back in 2004, you had no idea that this would be your future, right?
No, I did not. I knew that Taxi Mom would always be a part of me because I really enjoyed it. And one of the things that, I've done some observation drives and what have you with our drivers. And one of the main things that I ask is, what do you love about your job? And a lot of them say they just love to be able to be around these kids on a daily basis because the kids are just they're so innocent. They bring so much joy and then the
Yes.
stories that you hear. So from time to time, I do still get out in the field when I need to. And people like my co-chair, Reagan Bentley for IFA. We both co-chair for the Women's Franchising Network for IFA here in our city of Dallas. And she was so shocked because she asked me if I was going to go to one of the parties that I think it was the business association was going to have. And I said, I'm actually out in the field. I had a driver down. We didn't have any backups, and I pulled up my sleeves and I got in the car and I started doing it. And that was the most enjoyable piece to me is to be able to be out in the field. I do miss that, but I think that moving forward, I also love to be able to empower these owners that are coming in and actually growing the business and actually being able to see the ins and outs of the operation.
I got to ask this question. I'm sure one or two of our listeners is going to have the same question at the top of mind. Have you ever had one of the kids grow later in life and come back to you and want to learn more about Taxi Mom or check in
Yes.
with you and just oh, you have? Tell a story.
Oh, yeah. We've had a couple of kids come back and actually work for us. We were invited to a wedding of one of our Taxi Mom kids in Colorado, and my sister Rose officiated that one.
Wow.
So, yeah,
Great.
we have a lot of kids that, I mean, we'll see and they'll come up to us and ask us if we remember them. But we do have a couple of kids that have come back and actually worked for us on a part time level whenever they're going to college or what have you.
That's got to be beyond rewarding.
Gosh, yes, it is. It really, really is when you know that you're making that impact. Kind of like a
That's a great
teacher.
Yeah, and for the kids, it's a great memory. It's a very, positive thing that, they'll have with them for the rest of their lives. That's fantastic.
Yes.
So let's get back to the business of the day here. Franchising introduces a new layer of leadership. How did your role change once you were no longer managing one business but supporting other owners? You shared a little bit of that, but I want to zero in on that specifically.
Well, it's not easy because it's mindset. So when it comes to mindset, you're dealing with different people that have different mindsets. And so I think that that has been the most eye opening experience for me. But also, I think it comes to accountability. I know how to make myself accountable, but to make a grown up accountable for their business, that's a little hard, you know? So stepping into that, I'm still learning. I'm still learning. I'm still getting comfortable with that because I think that that's the most challenging for me is because I've been so lenient and I did my legacy statement for this year and one of them is really stepping into this role and making them accountable. If you are going to want to be profitable, you are going to need somebody that is going to support you, but also make you accountable.
Can you teach accountability, or is that something that has to be inside someone?
Uh, I think you can, I think it's both ways. I think that the fear, because I did have fear of making them accountable, I think anybody can make somebody accountable, but it's a matter of speaking up. You know, I think they're hard conversations to have, but I think that it's really, really important to understand the love language and the communication and understand people in order to get to that point. I think it's also important for them to be able to trust you. So, like we have Taxi Mom University, and that is a safe space for them to come in and actually have these conversations like, what do they want to see on the technology? What do they want to introduce to me? Because sometimes I think it's really important to have that open dialogue when it comes to dealing with other franchise owners because they are the ones that are building your brand. So you have your drivers that are the backbone of the company, then you have the other team members, and those are like the bloodline of the company. And then you have your franchisees that are the heart of the company.
You hit a key word, the word trust. And I
Trust.
reached behind me from my bookshelf and I grabbed a book, The Five Dysfunctions of a Team, written by the author Patrick Lencioni. And I'll just be very brief on this. It all starts with that vulnerability based trust. And you hit upon that exactly. And from trust, if I trust you, you trust me, it enables that conversation, that dialogue, where if there's disagreement, conflict, we can now have an open conversation, open exchange because you trust me, I trust you. And when we're able to confront the problem and have that discussion, we can overcome any conflict. That leads to a commitment. That commitment gets to the level of accountability you're talking about. So these five dysfunctions of a team, very important and something that we teach with EOS, just as a side note. But you hit upon the key word, and that is trust.
Oh, yeah.
So, so keep on moving here. You're very active in the women's franchise network and the broader entrepreneurial community. Again, that's how you and I met. How important has peer connection been in your journey?
It's been really important. I think, you know, what my goal for the Dallas chapter is to introduce non-IFA members in. So I'm a part of a network called Her Texas. And what I've done is I've tried to combine the Women's Franchise Network with Her Texas to bring in women that are either looking to open their own business or that just need that extra support of just people being around them and knowing business, because not everybody knows business, number one. But number two, when women are looking for opportunity, why would they want to build from scratch? And that's one of the things that I talk to them about at Heart Texas is like when I hear them and they want to open up their own restaurant or they want to, why would you want to build it from scratch? It's hard. It is hard. It's grueling hard, and if you could find that same model in franchising, why not get the support of a franchisor that's going to help you to be successful instead of starting from scratch? So, intertwining that is important to me because it does show the opportunities that are out there because not everybody knows about franchising.
So I'll get you out of here on this question for leaders listening who feel stretched, overwhelmed, or unsure how to scale without breaking what already works. What advice would you give them?
Get a coach,
Get a
invest in
coach.
yourself, get a coach. Having a coach is super important. For me, I have 3 coaches. I have 3. And I think perspective wise, you cannot do it by yourself. You have to understand that it is much bigger than you when you come into franchising because you have so many people that are trusting in the model and trusting you. So you do have to have other people to lean on. A coach is, if I would have started with a coach, I think things would have been a lot different for me, but I'm the type I like to fail fast. So because if I'm learning about it right now, I'm in my 6th year, then what's it going to look like in 16 years?
Well, Yolanda, this has been a very powerful and enjoyable conversation. It's a thrill to reconnect with you. You've shown what it really looks like to build something from the ground up, stay disciplined as it grows, and then scale in a way that creates opportunity for others. Your journey highlights how clarity, systems, and leadership all come together when growth is done intentionally. For our listeners who want to learn more, you can connect with Yolanda on LinkedIn and explore Taxi Mom and Taxi Mom franchising to see how her model supports families, communities, and entrepreneurs. Thank you for joining me today, and thanks to everyone for listening and for being a part of the Growth Ceilings community. Until next time, keep growing, keep leading, and keep breaking through.
You've been watching the Growth Ceilings podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who's ready to grow.